Hello everyone, my name's Ellen and in celebration of Women's History Month 2021, I'll be looking and evaluating 4 influential and significant female figures in women's history. This final presentation is on Amelia Earhart and I will evaluate her significance and the effect that she had on society. Feel free to look back at my previous videos where I evaluate the significance of Florence Nightingale, Rosa Parks and Emmeline Pankhurst, which can be found on the channel. So, to set a little bit of a background, she was born on the 24th of July 1887 in Kansas in the United States. As a child, she displayed an adventurous and independent personality, which would later make her become famous. In 1920, she went on her first aeroplane ride after dropping out of university in California. Realising that her passion was flying, she was inspired to take flying lessons. By 1921, she owned her own plane, and 2 years later, she earned her pilot's license. In the mid-1920s, she moved to Massachusetts, where she became a social worker at Denison House, a settlement for immigrants in Boston. At this time, promoters were looking for a woman that would fly over the Atlantic Ocean, and in April 1928, Earhart was chosen for the position. On June 17, 1928, she began the 20-hour and 40-minute flight, and she became an instant celebrity, although she was merely a female passenger. Determined to justify her celebrity status from 1928's flight, she crossed the Atlantic Ocean again in a record time of 14 hours and 56 minutes, despite a variety of technological problems in May 1932. This time she was the pilot. She disappeared on July 2nd, 1937, during a flight with Fred Noonan around the world, having stopped to refuel in Lae, New Guinea on the 29th of June, where they had travelled over 22,000 miles. They departed again on the 2nd July, headed for Howland Island, approximately 2,600 miles away. As it was a difficult place to locate, 2 brightly lit up US ships were stationed to mark the route, Earhart being in intermittent radio contact with the US Coast Guard. Late into the journey, Earhart radioed that the plane was running out of fuel, and about an hour later she announced, "We are running north and south." This was the last transmission ever received. Extensive searches were made to find Earhart and Noonan, and the plane was believed to have gone down 100 miles away from the island. They were never found. She was declared lost at sea and dead on the 5th of January 1939. So, why is Amelia Earhart significant? She never reached her 40th birthday, but in her lifetime she became a record-breaking female American aviator whose fame improved the acceptance of aviation for women and paved the way for women in commercial flight. She wasn't afraid to break down societal gender norms, as she became the first woman to fly as a passenger across the Atlantic Ocean and later became the first woman to pilot a plane across the same ocean. She became an instant sensation and a symbol of what women could achieve, and there wasn't many female pilots at the time. She inspired other women to follow their dreams. Being incredibly important at the time, as there wasn't many career options for women, Amelia Earhart inspired generations of women to do things that had never been done before. Her popularity brought many opportunities and financing for record-breaking flights in speed and in distance. She was awarded the American Distinguished Flying Cross and the Cross of the French Legion of Honor. In 1929, she helped found the 99s, an organization of female aviators. This organization helped for the advancement of female aviators in the field. This organization still exists today. What were the immediate effects of Amelia Earhart? Amelia Earhart encouraged women to achieve their goals and became a symbol of what a woman could become. She wasn't afraid to break down boundaries. She's well known for her pioneer in aviation, but she was also influential in breaking the boundaries for women and breaking down the societal gender norms at the time. Throughout her life, she worked to fill roles that were traditionally held by men. She was also financially independent, which was uncommon at the time. She was married to George P. Putnam in 1931, but kept her maiden name, a symbol of independence and strength. She described her marriage as a partnership with dual control. Her ideas on marriage were liberal for the time, believing in equal responsibility by both partners. Earhart dressed differently than the stereotypical women at the time, and she was described to be dressed as a man, or rather masculine, wearing her hair in a short style. In 1933, she created and developed her own clothing line, which was created to be a practical clothing line for women, including trousers, blouses, and shirts. The clothing line broke the mould for traditional women's dress in the 1930s. Historians have devoted a lot of attention to her success as an American aviator, but it's important to accredit her for her role as an intellectual and feminist writer and communicator. She came to fame for her aviation achievements that she drew on to articulate a new woman in society. Her aviation feat secured her public admiration, which she used to shape and mould discussions about femininity in the US in the 20s and 30s. Earhart exceeded the societal expectations and norms for women in her time, placing herself in a position to become a role model for women, young and old, and to inspire a transformation in societal attitudes. She believed that every woman should have equal opportunity to prove her competence, and that no one should receive preferential treatment based on his or her gender. This individualistic view of women's rights affords her a unique place in the history of feminism. Through her support of the Equal Rights Amendment, her encouragement of women pilots, her style and fashion sense, and many other accomplishments, Amelia Earhart left a significant mark in the fight for women's equality. In conclusion, Amelia Earhart can be considered an influential and significant figure in women's history, as she inspired and encouraged women to achieve their dreams. She wasn't afraid to break down boundaries. She is well known for being a pioneer in aviation, but she was also influential in breaking the boundaries for women and breaking down societal gender norms. Her passion for flying allowed her to create new aviation records in a male-dominated field. With the formation of the 99, she encouraged women to do the same. She also had influence in the post-suffrage women's equality movement, as she became a role model for women, creating a sense for a new type of women in the period. In her short career, she encouraged women to break societal norm for women and encouraged the equal rights movement